Hello everybody, Isabella from Pride Tire here, and today we are in Wolverton Gatehouse, an absolutely stunning National Trust property that was sort of built in the 16th century, so very appropriate to what we're doing today. The first foundations were put in a little bit earlier, but it was finished at the time of the King Henry VIII, so it's perfect for our sort of perfect for ours, because I'm wearing a Flemish gown today, so not English at all. This is a gown we recreated for our book, The Equestrian Dressmaker, as one of our riding gowns, which is very interesting because obviously at that point people still didn't really have different clothing for riding than their usual everyday clothing. Maybe make it a little bit more sturdy, making it in wool, wider skirt. But this particular one, featured on riding ladies, struck me as having several features that would be really beneficial for riding, either side saddle on a sort of blanchette or astride, so hence the Flemish one. Haven't discovered much in the way of that for that period, which is the beginning, the first couple of decades of 16th century. We're talking about 1520s more or less. In England, so that's my point of reference here. So although we endorse it, and not the one in Flanders, but a slightly exotic style for here, for today, and let's see how it works. Now I start as usual with a chemise in linen, and this one has quite full sleeves and full gathered body, typical of the era, and I think wool hose. It's winter here, so definitely woolen hose is going to be a winner today. Although winters are not as they used to be, apparently. And the second one. And these lovely stockings were made by Sally Pointer, and I have a whole collection of them. I suppose I should maybe wash them at some point. And just basic garters. No other underwear apart from chemise, so no knickers. It's interesting for riding. And I have my usual and my favourite early Tudor shoes made by Yuri from Historical Shoes. And they're stunning. Very, very comfortable as well. Little sort of Mary Janes of the era. Right, the first layer, which would be common across Europe really, would be the kirtle. And at that time, kirtle is becoming much fitter, with separate top and skirts gathered to the bodice part. The skirts were usually either shaped from panels or unshaped, really depending on what status you were. This is just wool satin, so nothing really that fancy. I would say sort of middling to gentlewoman's attire. And for horse riding, that would be perfect because wool breathes well, it brushes dirt very easily, so that's definitely something you want to have next to a horse. Also at that time you can see more and more bodices are stiffened, and this one does not use any boning. This one is just stiffened with a couple of layers of buckram, which was basically canvas, put a little bit of glue on it. So that's quite stiff, and it closes at the back with usual lacing and eyelets. It could close at the sides, it could close in front, so that was a little bit more variable. And an interesting, very continental, northern continental feature of it is the sleeves. Those are the sleeves. They're separate, laced, so a style you see a lot in sort of Ren fairs, which is not always suitable for what it was supposed to be. But at that point we have clear reference to laced on sleeves, and actually two parts of sleeves, because the lower part is also laced. So very much European, very much Italian in a way, and something that will be popular. Plain sleeves and plain hose later on are going to be popular throughout the century, all the way up to, well, basically about 100 years. You still have plain stuff. And like my Henrietta Maria video, So that's 1630. So a very simple style, but very, very popular for a variety of reasons. You can make them with just scraps of fabric, so that's a win. And obviously if you're wealthy enough to decorate with braid, that's even better. These ones are just lined with basic silk, but can be lined with linen as well. The skirt is unlined, the bodice is lined with linen, as you can see. And that's the whole idea of the voluminous sleeves, because all that billowing white is going to be showing through those panes here. And I quite like the contrasting ties there. So I'm going to see if I can get myself inside. Which might be a bit of a palaver with the sleeves, but we'll see. Okay, sleeves are on. I think I can find my way through. The most important part here is getting the sleeve of the chemise through the opening of the bodice so that it doesn't obstruct movement. I need to grab it. Yay! Next one. Now, the very interesting part of this outfit, and really not widely seen anywhere else apart from Europe, so not seen in England much at the time, is the fact that the gown is going to be worn without any sleeves on, so that these ones show. So for me as a rider, that would be a huge advantage on one side, because you have breathability, so it's not as hot, you get movement, but at the same time, if you're going out hunting, and you were not really going at a fast pace at that time. If you're lady riding, you would be going sort of sedate with a hawk maybe on your arm. At the same time, catching branches and other stuff here would not really be ideal. So, in two minds about it, to be honest. Let's get the chemise. But still, definitely less problems and not as hot as a full gown in a French or English style. Now I'm going to break here for a second to do some lacing. Let me get a maid to do it for you. And as if by magic, I'm all laced in, and it does look very Italianate in a way. It's I feel like a proper Juliet. Might be about 30 years old, but still. So that's the basic layer. And then the gown. Now the gown in the tapestry is richly patterned damask. It could be wool damask, it can be silk damask. I couldn't get any wool damask of that type, but I have a very good, that's, if I remember correctly, that's silk and wool, or silk and linen, and I forgot which one it is. And the lining, interestingly, in the original, you can just about see it's made in fur. All the skirts are lined in leopard fur. So obviously a very affluent woman there. I didn't really want to use a leopard fur because, you know, they're nice animals. So I'm using just plain wool. That will make sure it lies and flows correctly, but at the same time makes it easier to clean because it's going to be on a horse. And now lacing here is easier. The generic style of the gown with the big cartridge pleats at the back is typical of the era, the same in England as on the continent. It's quite heavy here. And now I have to put all the pains putting the pains through, looking at the window pane, and the other one. If I can see it. made. Done. Right, so here I've got my placket already sort of pinned in on one side. And all I need to do is to lace the front. So you can have a few examples of this style of lacing, with open lacing, showing off the kirtle. Something has...
You twisted it.
I twisted something.
It's gone over. It's gone over and under.
Oh, I see. Clumsy bent. Okay, it's not twisted. That's my useful maid. Okay, back to our topic. You can see this style of gown quite a lot, especially in the middle class. Without the placket, it's just gown laced over a kirtle. A very convenient style, relatively fast and easy to put on yourself, maybe with a little bit help of a maid. And quite decorative. Again, that style shows quite nicely with slightly more original variations in German at the time. A little bit lower lacing, but that's the same idea, I think. I would like to explore more German styles. They're very interesting, but I'm not German, so I'll leave it to Germans at the moment. I have one German gown actually, also for riding, also for the same book, which I really like. Okay, almost there. For lacing, you would be using either linen tapes, which are very convenient, or plaited braids, like here. This is a finger-looped braid, I believe, or lucette-looped silk. Can be wool, can be linen. But the biggest advantage here is it is slightly stretchy, so it's much easier to lace. Right, I think we're in. So that's the frock on, and I have my placket with it underneath. I might need to pin stuff here. Hold on. Damn it. And for this, I will need my maid again, because this one pins in through. So it's a perilous task, because you can get pricked, but I'm going to leave you for a second. So I'm all in with a few pins. Surprisingly, because they lie flat on the body, you can't actually prick yourself during the day activities you've been riding. Once it's in, and it takes a couple of in out on a brass pin to get through, the safe. I know lots of comments that says, you know, how they do not prick themselves and bleed to death with all those pins everywhere. It's just practice, I suppose, and they all lie flat on the body. So obviously, if it's a very long pin and it's on a bendable part of the body, it can be difficult, but then you use the shorter ones. So there you go. We have a little girdle. And a little hood. Now I'm going to be a real tease, and I'm not going to be telling you much about the head style that I'm wearing at the moment, because this is made based on research of another costumier, Perrin. I think she's on Instagram as Isabel Northwold, and you can see this research, which is absolutely amazing and meticulous, on the Welsh Viking YouTube channel. So I'll put a link here. Have a look, and it's a great bit of history on 16th century headwear. What I'm not wearing here is the headwear from my inspiration tapestry, mostly because I'm still quite puzzled by it. I'm still sort of trying to work it out, because it's just so bizarre. You can see several types of that style, and you can see there's a part of a hood and there's a flap, but also that style seems to require much longer hair than I have at the moment. My hair is really, really short at the moment, and I think from what I've seen, it uses hair and flap, and hair is basically wrapped around. The same style, or very similar one, can be seen on other tapestries, like the unicorn tapestries. So that's something I would really like to recreate, but I either have to invest in a very good quality wig or grow my hair back again, which I'm not really sure I want to do. But that's basically, it seems to be, at least seems to be from what I can see, using your hair as a part of a headdress. So we are just having a more traditional take off on the French hood, which is quite nice and stays secure. It's pinned with the brass pins here, and it stays secure for riding or walking or whatever you seem to be doing. So that's my Flemish riding gown, and as I said, it's going to be in the Equestrian Dressmaker book, out summer 23, hopefully. Gosh, it's a lot of fabric. The funny thing is, I just got them pinned, because it feels really heavy when you lift it up on its own, but when you're wearing it, the weight sort of disappears. I suppose I would feel it when I start walking up and down the stairs a lot, but for riding, the horse is going to be wearing it, not me really, poor thing. Maybe you should go on a diet. Right, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm off to sit on a horse and see how it fares in the saddle. And if you enjoyed it, buy me a coffee please, and check out my other videos. Thank you so much.